afternoon. Again, good afternoon. Welcome to the third place, where we actually have to eat, and we're glad about it. Our neighbors ourselves, as I said earlier, is the education arm of Easter's home, and there are several members of our neighbors ourselves on the panel. One member, Jenny Mitchell, is not able to be with us this afternoon, but I want to ask you if you would give our neighbors ourselves folks, before you even hear them, a hand. After prayer, I'll ask them to introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with our program. Thank you so very much for taking time to join us this afternoon. We realize that it's Super Bowl Sunday and you're anxious to get home. Those of you who are football fans, those of you who are not, we'll be out and tour. I think we're going to have about 3 sets of folks for the tour. So if you're interested in the tour after the program, just sort of hang around and we'll kind of group us up and we'll go to Easter's home to see the actual apartments. If you would now, pray with me. This is a prayer. It's called the Romero Prayer by Bishop Ken Untoner. It helps now and then to step back and take the long view. The kingdom is not only beyond our efforts, it is even beyond our vision. We accomplish in our lifetime only a fraction of the magnificent enterprise that is God's work. Nothing we do is complete, which is another way of saying that the kingdom always lies beyond us. No statement says all that could be said. No prayer fully expresses our faith. No confession brings perfection. No pastoral visit brings wholeness. No program accomplishes the church's mission. No set of goals and objectives includes everything. This is what we are about. We plant the seeds that one day will grow. We water the seeds already planted, knowing that they hold future promise. We lay foundations that will need further development. We provide yeast that produces effects far beyond our capabilities. We cannot do everything, and there is a sense of liberation in realizing that. This enables us to do something and to do it well. It may be incomplete, but it is a beginning, a step along the way, an opportunity for the Lord's grace to enter and do the rest. We may never see the end results, but that is the difference between the master builder and the worker. We are workers, not master builders, ministers, not messiahs. We are prophets of a future, not our own. Amen. Amen. I'd like now to ask the panelists if they would introduce themselves and just tell how they are or will be involved in Easter's home, starting with my friend Ron Clark. Ron?
Thanks so much. My name is Ron Clark. I probably should have been a member or one of the rooms at Easter's Hill with my guys. I really wish he was there when I was in that spot. But my goal is to be an educator, to be an example that individuals can have some records in their past and still be productive in the community. I am a believer. And so I just want to use my experience to help pick up my friends who want to be reside in one of our
This may not reach. Good afternoon. This is not Seahawks green, although I have nothing against Seattle. But anyway, just happened to be the color I chose this morning. Glad to be here again. I started this journey with you as our Director of Community Education at Roof Above, and I've recently felt called to return to frontline duty and am now a house navigator at our day services center. So I'm just excited to see us finally come to this wonderful place. So looking forward to seeing Easter's all over.
Hi, I'm Rachel Eldridge. I'm a member here at Caldwell. I've been helping out the past year with Jenny Mitchell on helping set up the volunteer program at Easter's Home. I have a career as managing volunteer, so I'm happy to look my kids to that.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kano. We're now Athletic Group Love. We will be the operating partners for Easter's Home. Go Seahawks. But yes, we're very excited for this project finally to come to fruition. And here today to answer any questions you may have on the design of the program and our intentions going forward.
Exercising teamwork. Okay. Don asked me to just provide a little bit of background. We're profoundly grateful that this enterprise has brought folks into the fold at Caldwell that may or may not be members of the church. And they've signed up as neighborhood members or others that want to be a part of this. But also we've got so many newer members, and this is a long story. So let me try to provide just a little bit of background. But first of all, for Audrey Brady and Sheila, let's give a big hand for lunch. Make a note, we do have a full meal next Sunday as well through Miss Jessica. Also, I want to thank Dot. Dot, as you all know, came on under duress when I was in the hospital and just slid right into it. And then as soon as I got back, we handed her the assignment. 2 months. She jokes that she came here, she's on her 3rd year of a 2-month assignment. We like it that way. We just don't tell her. But she took the assignment of thinking about how to continue the preparation of the congregation for this, and she's done a beautiful job, and I'm so profoundly grateful. The philosophy. Since the church came back to life in 2007, 2008, the philosophy of Caldwell has always been that God gave us a campus that, granted, at the time needed a great deal of work, but was far more than we ever needed. And so we sought to share the space and use it in ministry in all sorts of ways. And we probably had 10 or 15 different partners on our campus using it and bringing our space to life. And so that really was the seed to where we are now. The Price Building next door, of course, once was the Sunday school room. And there was a time in the middle of the 20th century, in general in Christianity, when more people attended Sunday school than worship. It was the hub of life. And so the Price Building was full chock-a-block. Children, youth, adults, Sunday school, and indeed it was expanded 3 times to the size that it is now. It functions as one continuous building, but if you look closely, you'll see the 2 expansions and the kind of brick that was used. In 2009, the powers that be came to us and asked us if we would consider using it in case a virus broke out to house the people that were on the streets. This was, I think, the bird flu scare. And we had an empty building. We said, well, sure, of course. We would be happy to provide space there for folks who are living on the streets. That did not happen, but the Salvation Army took notice and said, we would like you to be a temporary shelter for us while we build more permanent space. And in Doc Killian-like fashion, what was a 6-month emergency shelter became a 3-year enterprise that we called Caldwell House with 50 beds and a really profound meeting on this congregation as we got to walk with the sisters who lived there. In 2012, Caldwell turned to celebrate its anniversary, its centennial, and at that time had its sea legs under itself pretty well, and felt confident enough to say, what should we do with our 20th century, our second century? And one of the ideas that rose to the top was to dedicate the building and go big on housing, largely in part because of Caldwell House and how the ladies there had touched us. And so in 2013, we appointed a team to study a year long. We didn't know much about housing, what was needed, what kind of affordable housing is needed, what kind is out there. And so we spent 2013 studying that, and that brought us around to the vision that is becoming true. So those are the origins of this. Dream Key Partners, formerly the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Housing Partnership, emerged early on as our go-to partner from a development standpoint. And you'll have to kind of pivot your brain and not think of just as us as just a church. We have been a real estate developer, but we don't know much about that. And so Dream Key Partners is a real estate developer, and they are the longest serving and most impactful citywide and community-wide in Charlotte. And so we started dreaming with them early on. What emerged was a $6 million venture. It wasn't $6 million before COVID, but it grew to be $6 million. And so we had to spend a lot of time not just raising money, but then raising more money. And the result is a product that is $4 million in hard construction costs and about $2 million in other costs, architects, everything else that it takes to bring a building. And we had to gut that building down to the studs. So that was where the $6 million went. It is a debt-free building, and so that allows us to go low on rent. There is no debt service on this building, so that's why we're allowed to do what we were challenged to do, which is provide housing for very low-income folks, 30 to 50% of the area median income, and that's for a person, James can correct me if I'm wrong, but about $25,000 to $35,000 a year, I believe, for a single person would qualify you in that 30 to 50% AMI range. A task force was formed to look at doing business with 3 partners to run it. Some of you all remember well, we had all kinds of ideas put on the table. Could it be a program for those coming out of the Florence Crittenden program who had had babies, unwed mothers, and needed a graduate safe space to raise those children for another year while they got their legs under them. We looked at it providing specific housing for folks living with HIV/AIDS. And then Roof Above. And we settled on Roof Above for many, many reasons. They are by far the largest and most prominent in town. They provide services from people who slept on a park bench last night, operating 750 apartments around town. And so they are the true soup to nuts. Joe works in the day center, and so go down there sometime and you'll see people show up every day, just raw need. A lot of people choosing for whatever reason to live on the streets. That doesn't mean they shouldn't have some services and others, so all the way up to providing what they call scattered site apartments. And so our 21 apartments go into that. One of the strengths that we thought with a Roof Above through that task force was that the last thing we want to do is if somebody moves into Easter's home, the last thing we want to do is if it just doesn't work out, if it's just not a good fit, put somebody back on the streets. And so with Roof Above, they have a network of shelters in these other apartment buildings. And so if somebody just doesn't fit for whatever reason, they can move to a different apartment that Roof Above has among their other 750. This does go into what's called coordinated entry. It's a citywide pool that cooperates across different organizations working to address homelessness. And so it is not just its own little private park. It is considered alongside breadth of apartments that are available. And fundamentally, Roof Above looks through a list and saying, who is the most vulnerable tonight? And that shapes who goes into the shelters and who ends up here. And so that's no small thing. We should remember that. That's not just, hey, somebody you know, and they ended up, there's some connection getting an apartment. We're part of the bottom part of the solution, ground and above. The structure is very important to understand, and I know I'm moving fast, so feel free. We will have Q&A, but or pull me aside later. Fundamentally, Caldwell and Dreamkey co-own Caldwell Housing Incorporated. That is a private nonprofit that is a standalone. It is not a subsidiary of Caldwell Church, so we need to really understand that. Caldwell Church is not in charge. We have put our ground and our building to the use of the broader city through a nonprofit. We don't call the shots, and in fact, right now, Dreamkey is a 51% owner, our 49% owner of that nonprofit organization. That was necessary because all the people that gave us all that money weren't going to give it to some church that didn't know the first thing about housing. And so at some point, Dreamkey will back out. Caldwell will be the share owner, but it's still a distinct nonprofit organization. From the get-go, the financial organization now, Caldwell Housing Inc., which will operate Easter's Home. And so the financials are from the very beginning, separate and walled off from the church. Independent set of books, independent legal entity, independent accounts. We have a treasurer, Jeff Brown, our member from California, who acts as treasurer, but it is governed by a board that cross-pollinates with the session of Caldwell Church. It has some members on it, but also has other members of the community on it as we seek for this to be a citywide ministry. We will, as Kadon said, and I wanted him to take over the mic here when we get to that point, but we will sign an agreement with Roof Above to be our operating partner. And in effect, they really are already. The board of Caldwell Housing Inc. has been meeting with Dreamkey and Roof Above for months and months and months to get ready. This week, in fact, the contractor gave us the keys to the building. And so now the building is no longer on the responsibility set of the contractor. It is in the hands of Caldwell Housing Inc. And that was kind of a big, big milestone that we quietly crossed. And I guarantee that our general contractor, Rehab Building, hardly made a penny on this deal. They're good Presbyterians out of Greensboro. And they built this building for the money we had. I don't think they made much money. Roof Above will have 2 employees. A 40-hour-a-week building manager, and I believe that person's already been hired by Roof Above. Both employees will work for Roof Above. And so that's a 40-hour-a-week person who's a professional in the affordable housing space, known to both Dreamkey and Roof Above, given their career path. And then there will be a 30-hour-a-week tenant specialist, tenant liaison. We went out just because we wanted the opening to go as well as it possibly could, because our fundamentals did not support a second position from a revenue perspective. The church went out and was invited by fans of what we're doing to apply for a grant. So we got a $30,000 grant, and somebody gave another $10,000 right before the end of the year, so we have another $40,000 to pay for that second person. So fundamentally, the operating model, and Kate, I will expand on this, will be that Sunday through kind of Thursday-ish, the building manager will be on site during the day. Our tenant liaison will be on the desk at night. And then overnight, say midnight to sunrise, the building will not have somebody at the front desk, but we will have a security team roving between this property and Kings on the Ward, 3 blocks away, behind St. John's Baptist Church. And that is not, they're there really just to secure our neighbors, make certain that the building is closed and safe, there's nothing going on here, and back over there. And then they're the first line of awareness if something does need to be addressed. But all of those issues will be handled within roof above. So there is an organizational wall that runs down that alley between the Price building and our building. We need to get that in our heads. They're the ones that know how to run supportive housing. We do not. Timeline. We think our first residents will be moving in late this month. We're very excited about that. Now, if it's not late this month, you'll give me some grace. It's been moving a lot. The team has had to overcome some last minute hurdles that this administration has put up to what we call the housing first. But they have found a way to navigate that. So we have an employee, we'll hire a second employee, we'll have neighbors soon. It will be a soft ramp up. These will be folks initially that come from other roof above apartments, which in turn free those apartments up for somebody that's in the shelter. So we are part of that pipeline. So our first residents won't be people that slept at Independence Park the night before and come in. They will be either from a shelter or an apartment. We also are talking with the VA. And so some of our apartments may be filled under a VA supported housing program. They will be coming on board throughout the year. We did get another grant to ramp up, so we don't have to have 21 apartments full on day one, even though our expenses are 100% on day one, which we need to get it right. But we'll ramp up in terms of heads and beds, and so we got another grant to give us some padding to ramp up. So many points of grace have come up. I want to be real clear about the church posture, and I want to turn it over to K9. This is a private apartment building. This is no longer an extension of the church. Do not think about this as we had Caldwell. Okay? Fair housing laws mean we have to be very careful and very intentional. You can't go over there and talk about Jesus all the time. You can't go over there and walk in and go down the hall and say, who wants me to? It's a private apartment. Our neighbors are going to need space and peace and rest. They are there for healing and recovery. So think about this like an apartment building on Albemarle Road, or near South Park, or on Freedom Drive somewhere. And treat it that way. We will invite folks who live there to be a part of the activities of Caldwell Church. We will not expect them to be, nor will we impose the life of this church on them. We will observe boundaries. As we get to know our residents, we will look first, second, third, fourth, and fifth to the case managers to address their stated needs. So if they come up to me and say, John, do you know of a dentist who can fix my teeth? I will say, talk to your case manager. John, can somebody fix my car? Talk to your case manager. John, I don't have enough money. Talk to your case manager. It is not our job or our place to be social workers. It is our job to provide community, meaning, place, belonging, and purpose. You all have big bleeding hearts. Watch it. I say this because they have to operate with clear lines of operation. All we do is confuse their case managers if they find out that James here is helping somebody on the side do whatever. That undercuts their authority and their understanding of what these individuals are going to need. We're going to have to live into this. It is somewhat unnatural for us. It is not the same as Caldwell House when we came alongside those women and we were allowed to just, respond to whatever need they had. Okay? And we'll come back if there are any questions about it. There will be two avenues to volunteer. Caldwell Housing Inc., Jenny Mitchell will be the volunteer coordinator, as will Rachel. Rachel is a professional at this. She's done it her whole life. And so they will, from the board's perspective, in sync with Roof Above, think about how our neighbors can understand and be aware of what we're doing that they might want to take part in. Okay. B, the session has decided to take the remnant of what had been our Gambrell social justice money. That program kind of just unwound during COVID, and we had about $70,000 sitting on the balance sheet from that was unspent. Rather than trying to revive that program, which with colleges right now is very, very difficult, the session voted to use that money on a trial basis for no more than 3 years to hire somebody about 16 hours a week, whose job will be to work with our volunteer coordinators from the board, but on the staff of the church, to do one thing, and that is to activate this space during the day. And so that person will come down, turn on the lights, put on a pot of coffee. We may have Monopoly boards, checkers, if somebody donated fabulous TV. Our neighbors want to get out of their apartment, come over here and have a cup of coffee and a muffin, and maybe Scotty Powers wants to come over and hang out with them and get to know them. That's what the third place becomes during the day. And so that person will activate this space as a church staff member. Right now, that person will report to the associate pastor when we have that by decision of the session, and I think they're just trying to do me the favor of flattening my line of responsibility, which I appreciate. But we'll break that person in, I don't know, spring, summer, as we live into this ministry. The other thing that person will do, though, is inevitably when Mike Watson comes and says, I want to make barbecue for Easter's home, I'll say, talk to our volunteer coordinator. And we'll coordinate that. That is not a no. It is that we must be coordinated. No matter how strong a personal bond you might have with Lisa in apartment 103, if it's from the church, we've got to be very intentional about how we offer those things. So think of Easter's home as a place to heal, a space providing. When we house folks, our mission is accomplished. If they don't have anything to do with us, our mission is accomplished. Anything else is God's grace and God's grace. And there will be more as we learn with Caldwell House. A community will emerge over time. Charge given to our building manager is to create a culture that is particular to Easter's home. This is not run-of-the-mill affordable housing. It's unusual. It's in a great neighborhood. It's next to a school. It's next to a hospital. It's next to commercial businesses. Next to a neighborhood. So that person has charge to create a community that works here. But we will not have 1,000 strict rules. Our chief end is to help them heal. People will come with mental health issues. People will come with active addiction issues. People will come with physical disabilities. So there's a fine line here to house people who need housing, safe and supported housing, but have some life challenges. Those will show up in the life of our church and our staff every day. And that's where Jesus will be every day. So this is a gift for us to deepen our understanding and our empathy and our understanding as God's people, how we share what we have, and respect those who are here. So let me shut up there. K-Don's got to be gone in 25 minutes. So K-Don, why don't you add to this? Rachel, you correct me if I got anything wrong. We'll have general Q&A. I do think we should hear from James and Ronald if they want to say anything. We have had a lived experience advisory board walk with us throughout. So I don't know anything about what it's like to not be housed. Anything? We know we've got blind spots. Ronald, James, and others have helped us say, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And we will continue to have that voice, probably growing to include people who live in our housing, giving us advice. Kayla?
want to touch on a few high points to clarify kind of the mechanics behind the program. So Easter's Home will operate as a property through which we refer individuals who are currently in our scattered site programs. So what this essentially does is it expands our portfolio of properties within that program model. Right now, we're using it as a pass-through for individuals who are living in single site locations. And I know a lot of these words are common to people who work in the space, but just to clarify for anyone else, a single site location is a congregate location where everyone in the building is connected to the program and or eligible for services within the program. But it is not mandatory that they participate in the program to remain residing in that building. One of the hallmarks of single site programming is that there is on-site 24-hour staff. So we use that programming oftentimes for individuals who have some challenges around managing boundaries. There are kind of a high level set of rules that help us to maintain kind of community guidelines within the building. For many people, upon entry into housing, that is a very necessary measure. But after some time, once they've been able to stabilize, they want to move into a less restrictive space. So we are allowing individuals who are currently in those single site programs with no lease violations, no disciplinary issues at this moment, to vie for transfer into the Easter's Home model. They will be going through our scattered site vacancies, which have housing vouchers attached to them. So they will be placed with a scattered site case manager. They will take that voucher, and that voucher will then be applied to Easter's Home. So there's a lot of moving parts in how this project works, but one of the most essential pieces is that these individuals will not be coming to Easter's Home alone, right? They will be coming alongside a scattered site case manager who understands how to help people transition into this independent living setting with that supportive element. One happy accident over the past years, we've actually shut down our scattered site offices, which were previously located near Clanton Road in St. Bardell, and they are now relocated to our KOL building, which is just 3 blocks away. So their case managers will be within walking distance of them at any given time. If folks need things, it just came, I promise this was not planned, but it did come together that way. So now that support will be right around the corner, in addition to their case managers who will be working to get to know them, their needs, and connecting them to community resources. We will also have on-site site manager. Her name is Carmen Fowler. She worked for Roof Above for quite some time in our outreach and shelter services. So she's very familiar with the population that we serve. She was most recently with Dream Key Partners working on this project. So again, the stars just aligned, and she was available in our moment of need and has agreed to come onto the team to help kind of steward the opening of this program. So with Carmen in tow and with the tenant liaison, we will have someone who is on site regularly monitoring that community building that John was referring to, right? Serving as a primary point of contact for the residents of Easter's Home and also members of the community who are interested in supporting that work and ensuring that that connection is made in a way that's palatable to both the people residing there and the community that wants to support the work that's taking place here. In addition, she will have a direct report who helps to provide late afternoon, early evening coverage as well. And then we will have on-site contract security or roving contract security that will move between this location and our KOL location. One piece that we wanted to make sure was present in that relationship with contract security was accountability. So our contract security partners will actually be coming to tour both properties over the next week and place QR codes throughout the buildings so that we can actually track their patrols, right? So that we can know for sure that they are actually engaging in the patrols that we believe will be necessary to ensure the safety of those that are residing there in Easter's Home. Beyond that, our goal is to create the opportunity for community to thrive. I've launched a number of single-site and scatter-site programs, and what I can tell you is despite best efforts to push and create a community in your that comes from a vision of your own, communities are much better served by providing a platform, providing the resources for them to build a community that they envision, right? And there's no doubt in my mind that Caldwell will be a huge part of that, but it is incredibly important that we allow community members to have a voice in the community that they receive. So, very excited for this project, which we have been working on now for years, and happy to answer any questions you may all have from an operational perspective later on.
Let me call a couple of other people forward, and then we'll get right into questions. First of all, the irony of all these snowstorms pushed us to a date for this event that meant that the people that have done extraordinarily difficult, Ellie died hours every day, down to every bolt and every screw in the building, right? Lisa Thompson, board chair, who's a professional in this business. Jeff Brown, who you don't see, but works hours and hours and hours on finances. But so many people who came years before, Rob Hammond, Eddie, so many people that, you know, as this project has moved through different phases for the last decade, have served on different bodies that have seen it through different phases of its gestation. I'm going to call on two people now, just to flag them and let them know, let y'all know they're in the room. Well, several people, James and Ron from our Lift Advisory Panel. In the back, the guy that just got off the red eye, is Darren Gann. Darren is a member of the Elizabeth community. He's also a member of Parkway Baptist Church. So his personal theology aligns pretty well with us, and he caught the vision about housing there, but has joined our Easter's Home board and is our incoming chair. And I want to James Cathcart, our own very James Cathcart, our very own, is also a brand new board member. James is a professional in this business. And so he has just joined our board, and I don't know how many board members do we have? 10 or 12 now. But Darren, do you want to add anything? Darren, I'm going to give the mic to Dot, but okay. Yeah, well, K-Dot's got 15 minutes. And so, but call on Darren. Darren has interfaced with the neighborhood for us. And the neighborhood has not only been non-opposing, but they voted in favor of Kings on Lamar. And so we believe that we're aligned well with the neighborhood. But that's Darren, that's James. I'm leaving somebody else out. Forgive me, but this is your time to either add anything else or take questions. Why don't we take questions? Dee.
I'm just curious, you talk about the case managers. Will each case manager have one person, or will some case managers may have two people, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question is whether or not there will be a one-to-one ratio between case managers and tenants. It will vary. So it will be a mix of vouchers and programs. There may be, for instance, we have within this first cohort 2 individuals who are HOPWA eligible, so their voucher will come from the resource pool that provides for housing for individuals or people living with AIDS, right? They will have 1 case manager, so that will be 2 tenants who have 1 case manager. There will be other programs for whom the case manager has 20 other tenants throughout the community, but they have 1 Easter's Home. But without a doubt, every case manager who is participating in Easter's Home will have an approved ratio in terms of their total caseload. It would be beneficial to have a number of members of the community connected to a smaller number of case managers, but that's where the site manager really comes in is in coordinating with regular communication with those case managers to ensure that they understand how each of their clients is doing, and to understand kind of what we're trying to do here as a community. Yeah.
Other questions? Speak up.
Yes.
What would be the question? Is the training going on for volunteers instead of front desk? Can you just tell us briefly what your part will be?
Sure, and I think Rachel might actually be better suited to respond to that.
Yeah, so right now there's actually 2 volunteer roles, but the main one we've talked about is what we're calling resident support specialist volunteer. And so those are folks who are going to be coming, ideally, kind of come twice a month. They're going to do a 2-hour shift. They're going to be located primarily in the lobby space to make that a warm, welcoming space, to provide hospitality. They're going to make sure that the laundry room is working the way it's supposed to work. They're going to be, I think, just sort of monitoring things and being able to pass on information back to the building manager and the tenant liaison, because the volunteers will be there when the staff is not there. So that's a really key thing to realize. It's a bit different than what we originally talked about volunteers doing, that they, in a sense, are supplementing staff. And that's why we always have 2 volunteers working at the same time. We don't want people to be there by themselves. And so that's why we're spending a fair amount of time training those. So we've done some online orientations. We'll repeat those. We have an upcoming training on Saturday that's in person, and we'll repeat that as well. And I was going to say, yes, that's most of the things I wanted to say about that. We can send out the position description to folks if they want. Ginny has been in touch with people. I put a notepad on the table here in the foyer, so if anyone's interested, just wants more info, wants us to send you stuff, you can get on our list. You can put your information down there, which would be great because we do need more volunteers than what we have right now to cover all the shifts that are now on the schedule. I guess that's the other part. The shift is 2 hours, yep. And so right now those are on Fridays and Saturdays during the day, 8 to 4. And then there's also Sundays and Mondays from 4 to 8. So hopefully there's some things that work for people like me who are working, and then there's some shifts that probably will work for people who are flexible schedules. So a little bit for everyone. Yeah. And we want you to come twice a month because we want people to still be part of that community, to get to know the resident, the tenants, and for the tenants to get to know them. People are coming, fairly frequently. That really helps with that. Anything else? That, yeah. Okay.
It's a 3-year expense. This is a 16-hour-a-week job, so we're not talking about a highly paid person. And it's trial and error. Some people might say we are going to have a lot of resources dedicated to this, maybe more than we need. I just argued for that because I want us to get one chance to get trust right with these folks. And so, and we also get one chance to get operational with the case managers in the right manner. And so it's a 3-year program. You can do the math, 70 divided by 3. If we decide, it's actually 67,000. If we decide that we like this model and need it, we'll figure that out down the road. If not, we'll phase it out and say, we just didn't need that. But it's just padding to make certain that we coordinate. This is a very unusual thing we're trying to do, maybe unique in the country, of housing on a church property with 2 volunteer portals that have to be highly coordinated. And knowing the heart of this church, I just said, we just need a funnel to make certain that we're not just octopusing all over the place. That's not a verb, but I just made it. Add a couple things that we did not touch on The building itself is 99.99% complete. Outside, we still would like to add a porch in the back, so everybody has a place to sit. We're sorting out what money is left in construction. It falls to the bottom line that we can still spend on that. So we really do want them to have space outside. And we may put some outdoor furniture in that upper courtyard too, as you'll see and the way the building works. We really only want people to use one door coming and going, so that we have an idea of who's coming in and out of the building for our neighbors. But there are many doors, given that it's an old building, and so one of the doors comes down into that courtyard, so that could be an outdoor space for our neighbors as well. Reminder, everybody will pay 30% of any income they have. If they don't have income, do Bob's job, help them find, any income that they may be due. And so everybody's got skin in the game here. And then we're using HUD subsidies, HOPA subsidies, others to close that gap to get to about an average rent of $14.50 a month, which is way below market. If you have a studio apartment in Elizabeth, it would be 30% more than that. Other questions? There will be minimal parking because there will be minimal car rental. The only parking we can offer is on the street. So part of the tenant selection process is that in mind. That's just one of our realities. Hey.
Are we still changing one of our corner spaces for an office or something? About doing that in the build call, about doing that now?
Oh yeah, we did actually. Yeah, there's a little room that y'all probably don't even know about that has a door that opens onto the upper courtyard. Quote unquote Carlos's apartment. As case managers need to meet with clients, they need a private space. So we've used that room, completely cleaned it up, new lighting, new everything. Got to run a HVAC trunk out there. Just learned that term. To heat it. That will be an office, a private office for case managers to meet with folks. So they're not having to meet in the lobby of the building or in their apartment. So it's a space that the church is renting to Colwell Housing Incorporated for $10 or something a year. And that's what we've done.
And keep in mind that we also have KOL, which is just 3 blocks away, and that's the case management office. So folks will be able to see their case managers much more frequently than in the traditional scatter site setting.
KOL is King's on the Bar. It's the old college dorms or the old business college here that are completely outfitted and beautiful. So KOL, King's, because it's on King's Drive, and it's been in transition, working their way up. That's a bad explanation, but...
So it's a vocational focused program. It's for individuals who are experiencing homelessness, for whom employment will be their likeliest path out, right? So it's really, it's a sober living community. So we do have regular drug testing. They are connected to case managers whose real focus is on either connecting them to employment or helping them to move that employment into a place where it can help sustain market rate, right? We want folks to be able to transition out of that program within 12 to 24 months. Beyond that, we also have a portion of that property dedicated to members who have been honorably discharged from the armed services. So there's veteran programming taking place there as well.
Other questions? I believe we will probably continue to have trainings. I mean, I think we're going to have to really work in practicing providing every interaction with every neighbor dignity and respect, whatever they're going through. And so one of the things we didn't get to yet is like role playing. What do I do when? So maybe we want to go back and do that. It's okay if you feel like you need it. perfectly natural. But again, we need to extend these children of God dignity and respect through good days and bad. What else? Ron handed out something. Ron, do you want to, or you have, Ron, speak to what you got there real quick.
Here. This is important. Is anyone in the room familiar with the ACEs study, Adverse Childhood Experience? See a lot of hands going up. Have any of y'all ever used it? I want some feedback from y'all. This is an interaction. Adverse childhood experiences are things that happen to us as a youth. Instead of asking the question, what's wrong with you? Why don't we ask the question, what happened? That's what really generates the conversation and moves the needle. Because some of these things that happens to individuals, especially the population that we're serving, people like me, those are the things that carry on into adulthood. Those things can affect us cognitively in our mind, affect us physically. For those of you who have it, there's a battery of 10 questions. Now this is evidence-based practices here. It's best practices. Just knowing this information about an individual, it can help you see that we're not bad people trying to be good. We're sick people trying to get well. You feel me? Yeah, I skipped out a little bit of that. What for the brother right here? I'm going to run through these real quick. I don't know where you're at. Okay? For those of you who have it. If you don't have it, I'll see if I can get you a copy. These 10 questions, if you have 2 or more, your chances are somewhere like 80% that you're going to have some problems in your adult life. And some of the problems are things like you're 4 times more likely to use alcohol, you're 4 times more likely to use drugs, you're 15 times more likely to commit suicide, you're 2.5 more likely to smoke cigarettes, you're 3 times more likely to be absent from work or lose work, you're 3 times more likely to take antidepressant drugs or to experience depression. These things are factual. These are the questions that I don't know how to remember these, but oh my God. Can y'all hear me? Sorry about that. If you answer 2 or more from the following questions, chances are people you're working with or even you might want to look at yourself, you might know something to say. Did you feel that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, or had no one to protect you or care for you? That's one question. Did you lose a parent through divorce, abandonment, death, or other reasons? Third question. Did you live with anyone who was depressed, mentally ill, or attempted suicide? Yes or no? Did you live with anyone who had a problem drinking and using drugs, including prescription drugs? Next question. Did your parents or adults in your home ever hit, punch, beat, or threaten to harm you in any way? Going down the list here. Somebody might say, ouch, you may not say me. Did you live with anyone who went to jail or prison? Next question. Did a parent or adult in your home ever swear at you or insult you or put you down? Question number 8. Did a parent or adult in your home ever hit, beat, kick, or physically hurt you in any way? Number 9. Did you feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were special? Number 10. Did you experience unwanted sexual contact, such as bonding, oral, or vagina? If you answered 2 or more, or if the individual you serve, or your neighbor or your friend answered 2 or more of those questions, the chances of them having some other extenuating problems have just increased by 80%. Now, do not raise your hand, but there's probably a couple of us in here that can say yes to a couple of those questions. Can we imagine the people we serve in this population? Reverend John was real clear about personal boundaries and respect for others' boundaries. Sometimes I've been on the board with a group of I come from that population. Don't imagine, if you could close your eyes and don't worry about the scarf, the shoes, or the sweater, but imagine me not taking a bath. This is a true story. For 3 or 4 weeks. wearing the same clothes, using the bathroom outside. No personal hygiene, incarcerations, 3 or 4 states. That's where I come from. But through His grace and mercy, we are together as a community and a society trying to create an environment that individuals can not only change, find this peace called recovery, but stay changed and live independent lives and be productive individuals. It requires a lot of understanding. Sure. I can do this all day. Y'all see me smiling, it's not because I think anything is right. It's not. It's real life issues. I got tired of pouring a sip out for my brothers and sisters that's not here because of you being insensitive and said it's their fault. Like we got a moral dilemma. You the one bought that drug. You the one bought that alcohol. There is a choice, but the disease of addiction is real. In 1956, the American Medical Society determined that alcoholism was a disease. And in 1987, they also said that all other food-altering substances are a disease of the brain. If you look at it, like, we look at high blood pressure, diabetes, those are diseases. They're treatable, they're not cured. Now, the person not cured, fixed, or healed, but we treat diabetes. It's a disease of the pancreas, correct? Alcoholism and drug addiction is a disease of the brain. You can treat it. I'm not cured, fixed, or healed. But on March 15th of 2000 of this year, I have 16 years of uninterrupted recovery. Let's create a recovery-oriented community like Easter's Home has already set up. To provide a safe place to live, grow, and change for the people in this community.
All right. This is not the end of the road for questions and training. It is your last chance to look at the apartments. Betsy.
This has taken so many people for so many years. Actions that really happen is a really good justification. And I know you're really shining light.
Thank you, Betsy, but I mean, the angels have shown up in so many places. All right, who all wants to go on a tour? Raise your hand, because we're going to divide groups up so that we can kind of, if you're going to go, feel free to open doors to apartments, but don't go in there and mess around. Let's see, what I wanted to say one other thing. All right, so we will go and line up in front. James, did you have a question?
How about the one or two apartments, or did we decide?